I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is All the Mods 10. Now, you might be noticing something a little bit different about my look, and this is actually how I was supposed to look whenever we set up the pylon a few episodes ago. The effect you're seeing right here is actually coming from that charged spell. And the funny thing is this is what we look like, right? But that also means the true invisibility from the pylons mod is now working, and it must have just needed a reload for it to work. And the true invisibility, well, is truly invisible. So now my player may be nice and charged up, but today our world is going to get nice and charged up because we're going to be working and solely focusing on the Powah mod today. Now, to really understand how this all works, I set this up last episode, but just to simply recap, we have a pattern provider that is sending items with the blocking mode turned on onto the energizing orb. And then we have our pattern provider focused with a wrench and rotated to only send items up into the energizing orb, preventing the items from being pushed into the modular router. Now, the modular router is basically handling the pulling out of the energizing orb, goes into the modular router. We have a puller that pulls it into the buffer, and then we have a sender module that sends it back into the pattern provider. This all automates the patterns for energizing orb automations. And so truly what this allows me to do is it allows me to craft, for example, blazing blocks, or really any of the ingredients that we're going to need today. The only problem is we have to kind of scale up this operation because right now we're at a very low tier and we only have so much power to work with, which means we have to slowly but surely build up our power infrastructure to be able to make this job faster. Now, I've really already gone through and done a lot of hard work. Basically, I have set up patterns for just about everything that we're going to be needing today. And all of these patterns, yeah, it was well into the about 60 or so patterns that I had placed in. And you can check my pattern terminal. Just look at all of these individual patterns that were needed. All of this streaming all the way through this line and all the way through here. And with that, you may have just seen a sneak peek as to what kind of power source we're going to use to get started. But you know what? I should be actually saying power source says, because today we're also going to be figuring out how we can pull lava from another dimension into this dimension and also use that for power. So first things first, I've gone ahead and made some thermo generators that are on the blazing tier. The way these work, by the way, you can check by hitting U and you can see the different heat sources. So we have different heat sources that we can use on this, and this is going to do a percentage. So take off the 0 from the end here and take off 1 0, and that is going to be the percentage increase that you'll actually get by putting these different things underneath your reactors. So these are going to be pretty handy. And one of the best things to use, of course, is a block of blazing crystal early on. Then once we go into the other, we can get ourselves some soul lava, as that is a huge increase of 900%. So when looking at the generation rates on these thermo generators, we're not actually seeing the true power percentage or the power amount, because that is determined by a couple of things. It's also determined by the coolants, which as of right now in this pack, there is only one type of coolant, which is water, but the heat sources kind of matter. So we need to take that generation rate, which is 300, and then we'll multiply that by the 2.5, which would be our percentage of 250%. And that will get us our generation rate that is actual, which equals 750 FE per tick. So essentially, with a block of blazing underneath, each one of these will be producing 750, which, I mean, for something that's as easy as this to craft, like, that's pretty good. So let's set these up. I'm going to place my blazing crystals underneath, and I'll place my generators right on top. Now, these do need a constant supply of water, and that is the other thing that you need to make sure you have. And I'm probably just going to use applied energistics for that. So this is going to look kind of interesting because in the back, or right here, I do want to use an interface. So an interface can be formed in a couple of different ways. I think I'm going to place it like this, give myself a place to put the block, and voila, we have an interface, right? And the way that an interface works is kind of cool. We can define it to keep a certain thing in stock, including water. Since we do have a infinite water cell, we can just bring that in here and have it always keep this amount in stock. And then we can just use a pipe to just pull from it. So I'll connect this like so. And I love the mech pipes because it just lets you see visually what's going on. Otherwise, I would definitely use the other ones. But we'll put this to extract, and there we go. We now have water going into our thermal generators, and these are now generating 840. I guess my math might have been a little bit wrong there. Oh, that's right, because I did 250 instead of the 280. So I thought it was 250%, but yes, the same thing would go. You would just do that number times, for example, whatever the percentage is. And in this case, if it was 280, you would do 2.8. Who knew we would be doing math with Chosen? Look at that. But there we go, 280% production rate. So they are producing 840 each. Just super easy to set this up. Now with power upgrades means we probably want to upgrade our ender cell, and this is what's allowing us to use gates. And honestly is one of the best options available right now because we don't have flux networks, or currently in the pack we don't have flux networks. Using this is going to be the best early stage for handling all of our power needs, allowing us to have these wireless transfers of power. And that means we are going to have to consistently upgrade our cell because our power needs are going to expand. And as of right now, this only supports 40,000. Our prior doesn't really support that much at all. I think we have a hardened version, which really only gives us 10,000 throughput and output. So this one's going to be a little bit better, but the goal is to, of course, make it all the way to 2 million. But you may be also wondering, like, how do we handle it after 2 million? We're going to have to probably step into some other mods to be able to handle that power transfer rate. Who knows? Hopefully by then Flux Networks is updated. I don't know. That's a possibility. I mean, if anything, this is going to give me the chance to finally put the power storage that is available with AE and Flux or applied Flux, and finally put that to good use. Okay, I've just been holding this item and talking the entire time. Let's place down the ender cell. And then we just need to run a cable. And I'm going to go ahead for right now, and I'm just going to use universal cables to send the power from this into here. So this should be able to send the power and make sure to keep this nice and filled up. Now, something cool to note, the cells are kind of like gates themselves. We can place multiple cells all over the place, and we could use cells as our primary way of powering, just making more cells and using those as the wireless option. But of course we do have gates, and you could use gates to technically send power into the primary cell network, but that's a little bit more complicated, and honestly, I'm not super concerned about it, and I think it might be a better option just to have centralized power running in, plus these cables give us a buffer. Well, you know what? If these cables ever become a problem, we can always just right-click them, just like that, with a mechanism-infused alloy, and it will convert all of them connected, I believe up to 8 connected. And the advanced version alone, by the way, can send and receive like 51,000 FE per tick. So now with this little setup right here, I am producing 5,880 FE just on this alone. And that power is nice, but we're probably going to need more, and these can be upgraded, which is the really good part. This is just the blazing tier, and boy oh boy, does it start to get a lot better down the road, and especially when we dive into reactors. Just something for an example here, the thermo generator at spirited tier will produce like 4.2 thousand FE per tick with just the blazing block underneath it. Now all the way up to the once we get soul lava, that goes up even higher. And I mean, if my math is correct, the nitro generator can generate 31,500 FE per tick if there is soul lava underneath it with that generation factor. And with that, it still blows my mind that the mechanism like ether gas generator is limited. I just don't get it. Maybe it's because of how later game this actually is. I guess you do need nether stars to be able to even get to that rate. So I guess in that regard, it does make more sense. But I digress. I've got some leveling up to do. Now that I have this, I got to start working on getting my hardened cables upgraded. I think I have some blazing. I need to kind of craft a few blazing here. And this is a little bit slow. And the higher tier that I upgrade these cables to and the hardened, the faster I can send power. As of right now, I think my limiting factor is my cables. And I think the hardened versions of these also have a limited send rate. As you can see, just upgrading to the blazing tier alone is significantly faster for at least making the blazing tier. Oh, and quick tip, by the way, that I really want to mention. Whenever you're building a recipe, by the way, for these rods, make sure that you have substitutions enabled, so that way, when you put back in your prior, it will actually use the older ones that have power stored in them. Just kind of a little tip. So now that I've done a little bit of upgrading, I now have basically up to emerald tier. I just have to place it in. I'm kind of still consuming up all of my power. So I do want to also set up some blazing magmators, which are another way we can generate power from the Powah mod. And this is also going to allow me to go set up some infinite lava gen. Oh, by the way, I also have another plan for our little base here. Look at this. Yeah, kind of to distract from everything, but I am setting up these nice little armor showcases in the wall, and possibly item showcases that are going to be in the wall as well. You know, to fit that whole Batman cave aesthetic. That honestly wasn't what I was going for, but it's turning out to be that. Or you can look at it as, well, the vibranium and unobtainium kind of look. And maybe a little bit of, you know, all the modium as well. Now you get it? Okay. Anyways, back to how we're going to obtain lava. So to do this, we need a ranged pump. And this thing is fantastic, and we can use it in the nether to just generate basically abundant amounts of lava. So now out in the nether, we need to find ourselves a nice little lava pit. And judging by this, it looks like there's a nice large lava pit over here, but we really just need lava that has like lava in 64 block directions all away from the center. So this might even be big enough, or more than enough right here. Now to place a block in the center of this, ooh, this might be a good use for that pantomime, right? Because we can do pantomime sensitive, and we can actually have it do place block and just use place block as its normal intention. And I can just go down here, and right above the surface, it lets me place a block mid-air. Oh, it's just so many good utilities within ours. So now with an area defined, we can use our pump by placing it just like this. And we just need to give it some power, right? And when we give it power, it should start pumping lava. Now it's going to scan 64 blocks that way, 64 blocks that way, 64 blocks that way, 64 blocks that way, and 64 blocks underneath. And it's going to replace the lava with stone, which is really good for servers actually. And you can see the stone right here already being replaced, which is pretty neat. So now that we have this set up, what I'm going to need to do is give it a tank or somewhere to send this lava. And I don't think it will just automatically send. Oh, it does. Okay. So we can just automatically send into the container that it's connected to. And in this case, dimensional tanks, which is really nice, right? Because dimensional tanks are dimensional. We can open this up and we can set our frequency, and we can have access in our overworld, access to this same tank that exists here. Ender tanks, right? Ender tanks. That's what this is. This is just an ender tank. Now inside of our chunk settings, we want to make sure we have this claimed and chunk loaded. Like the chunk that this resides in, make sure it's claimed and chunk loaded. And now with that out of the way, we can use this lava for anything we need in the future, which is fantastic, including making some power from it. Now, something to note, that lava is technically temporary, but will last a very, very long time, right? So it will take a while to consume that entire area, which is massive, by the way. But of course, once it is gone, hopefully by then we'll have another way of generating lava that doesn't require us to pump it from the dimension. So here we go. I have all of the 7 magmators ready to be set up. And just like we did over here, I'm going to place them down just like this, one next to the other. And then I'm probably going to make another ender cell, and we're just going to have another one placed right next to this one. So make sure to place that right there. Beautiful. Now we need to send this lava, and that's where the tank here is going to come into play, and it's just connected, which is perfect. And just like the other side, we'll have water on that side, and we'll be feeding lava to this one. And this we're going to find out what's the consumption rate of the power that's required here? Like how much lava, and are we going to be even able to keep up with it? That is going to be kind of something to keep in mind. I really don't know how much it actually consumes. It doesn't really give us that data. We can definitely see it being consumed right there, and quite a bit of it. Wow, like I think more than we are actually pumping. Maybe not. Maybe there's like a working period on the actual lava collector. And yeah, it definitely is dwindling. That I will say. Yeah, there's got to be like a delay on the range pump. And you know what? It's probably good. That's probably better for servers, but I guarantee the higher tier magmators, yeah, will become kind of an issue to handle later on. But at this tier, by the way, those magmators are actually generating 1,000 each, which is more than the blazing on the thermo side. But the tables will eventually start to turn, and we'll find out that these thermos are actually going to outpower the magmators. Now, I know you may be asking, Chosen, why don't you just like set up infinite lava generators, like using the methods that you've already used before? And to that, I will definitely say that those lava generation methods are just kind of slow, and they require a ton of the same blocks being placed down and the same upgrades being made and the same interfaces being placed in to actually get a reliable source of lava. They're great early game, like super early, but whenever you get into this kind of point, it would take a ton, like it would take 100 extractors or something like that to be able to just make one bucket every second. So for lava, I think this is great. And we have now stepped into what I would call like early to mid game power. We now have infrastructure and we can start to scale it. For now though, I would like to add a storage bus onto our dimensional tank, and this will give us access to lava. But whenever I place this on here, just in case this tank does eventually empty, I do want to make sure that we don't accidentally send any other fluid into this. And we can do that by clicking the partition button. That is going to make sure this kind of is locked to only allowing lava in and out of it. Okay, so how can I make this a lot faster? Well, that's where soul lava is going to come into play with these thermo generators, and that means we need to go on a little bit of an adventure to find some of this soul lava, which means a new dimension. And to access this dimension, we need ourselves another teleport pad. But this teleport pad is going to be a little bit different, right? Because it needs to go in the nether. It's at this point that I do recommend possibly putting in a couple of things whenever we go here. One, night vision if you've already farmed it. So I want to go ahead and get my pylon potion filter for true invisibility and night vision. These are both going to really help, as the mobs shouldn't bother us, and we should also have permanent night vision, as it is pretty dark in this dimension. Oh yeah, by the way, it also makes me fully invisible. I keep forgetting that. So yes, let's go ahead and head into the fort. Aha. And we can place this down. I'm going to go ahead and just place it right here. And whenever we shift right click on the teleport pad in this dimension, it's going to take us to a new one. Yeah, might take a moment. There we go. And to the other, we have arrived. Oh boy. In the wall, it seemed nice and squished. So currently we spawned in an ancient crimson forest. And we are at Y level 64. I do want to work my way up to the top though. I think that is going to be very helpful for our situation. Now, some cool things that I remember about this dimension, this is where we're going to get like some later game things. For example, this is where we're going to obtain our smithing template, I do believe, for the unobtainium gear set. That's going to be kind of wild, but that's going to be a little bit later on. But you can come explore this before you have any of that. Now, things that don't work from what I remember, unless things have changed, quarries do not work in here. So like fake player stuff may not work in this dimension, just simply because, yeah, they don't want you mining out large areas and kind of ruining the fun and progression of the adventure. Now, I love how I'm turning back for you to look at me and I'm just completely gone, but something else that used to be disabled in all the mods 9 was flight, but it does look like flight exists in this dimension as of right now. That may change in the future. Don't actually know. But it does look like we can maneuver around quite well. I know prior, you were able to use your R spellbook to get around even with that flight restriction. And here we are. We have made it to the surface. And boy, oh boy. Wow, with the night vision, this looks so cool. Okay, it looks like there are structures that are outside of this dimension that are actually spawning here. Like this one, for example. Wait, we just fall straight through the trees? Oh, very weird. I would 100% recommend putting down a waystone whenever you get here, as that is going to be super important. And by the way, there we go. Beautiful. Now to find this soul lava in this very spooky dimension, what I do want to do is I want to search specifically for the Allthemodium, and we'll see Ancient Pyramid, Dungeon, and Piglin Village. Now, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've messed around with this, but I'm almost positive the Piglin Village has it in it. It has that soul lava in there. And so we just need to simply find one. And it looks like there was actually one like right where we spawned. And so we just need to locate this and then dig straight down to it. And hopefully not hit soul lava ourselves. That'd be really bad if we just died, by the way. Also, just look, I love the true invisibility. Like nothing really bothers us. We would be getting like crazy attacked. And there are some biomes in this that are just ridiculous. Did I just get a wither skull fragment? Just casually. So yes, I want to find like the exact coordinates, center of the structure. That'll give us the best chances. Looks like right about here. And do the thing that we shouldn't do. And that is mine straight down until we find it. And there it is. This is what we're looking for. Aha! And there's the magic liquid. Yes, this is going to be a game changer. So I want to see, we should be able to click this and pick it up. Let's put this in on mode, and I will shift right click, or just, oh, you own this item, right click, and pick all of this soul lava up. As this is what's going to give us that, sorry, that's what's going to give us that 900% increase in power gen. And wait a minute, these guys spawn down here as well? What? Yeah, that true invisibility is honestly, it's just ridiculous. Wow, that is Spectral Bite. Really, really high levels on it. Divine Pact? Knowledge of the Ages. These just have a ton of enchants on them. Also, Netherite Gear. This is perfect. Oh my goodness. And all the Modium Nuggets. Oh, the loot's really good too. This has really changed. I don't remember this looking like this before. Oh, this poor villager. Oh, he's trapped. Oh my goodness. And you can even find Vibranium in here, and we haven't even mined Vibranium yet. I love it so much. Okay, I gotta keep my mind on track. I'm here to collect all of their soul fluid. Oh, now that's diabolical right there. A crane dropping them into the soul lava? Oh no. Don't worry, I got you, friends. I will consume this myself for my own personal use. And there's a block of netherite right in the center of this building here. Yep, taking that. Now that I'm back, oh boy, this is where things are gonna get a little bit crazy, right? Remember, this is just the blazing tier. So if I go ahead and now shift right click to put this fluid in, this should change entirely the dynamic here. Oh, wow. Okay, so I guess this fluid can't have like blocks placed in front of it. Okay. It still hasn't changed yet or even noticed that the power consumption, but there it is. 2,700 FE per tick now each. And I think an easier way of placing this in, since you can't place a block currently in the position where that fluid resides, yeah, I think just placing it in like this, and then placing back in the thermos is going to be the way to go. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot more power technically being generated for each of these. Nothing's going to show until we need that power, but wow. So now with just that little bit of an adventure, I basically went from generating like maybe 10,000 between all of these generators to now just that set alone generating about 18,900 FE per tick. What a huge jump. Now, what if I told you I can get those thermogens to be generating with just the 7 of them around 94, about 95,000 FE per tick? Yeah, I didn't stutter. You heard me right. To do that, though, I am going to have to slowly exchange these. Make sure my magnet is on. I don't want to lose this item. So I have the thermo. I just place it in, and we need to upgrade this thermo into the next tier. And to do that, I do have substitutions enabled, which makes this a little bit easier. But I've just got to take it all the way up into the spirited version. And so it will save us quite a bit by doing this. But there it goes. I also upgraded our gates to blazing. These are now giving about 40,000 FE per tick, which is exactly what this can handle. And so it is pulling out the max extraction rate, but I think we have enough buffer to be able to handle everything. Yeah, that is just filling that 4 million buffer there. And this is where we're going to outpower our universal cables. Just with this alone, 13,500 FE per tick just on the spirited. This isn't even nitro. By the way, I'm not making nitro just yet because that requires nether stars, which requires power, but will happen very, very soon. Oh, and by the way, notice how our lava gens are kind of struggling back here. I might actually just replace those with another set of these as well. As much as I love lava and like using lava for this, we just don't have the pumps to be able to do it. So I'm kind of glad there is another option, but also kind of miss the whole idea of like power being kind of something you struggle to get over time. Now with all of these power upgrades, yet again, I'm going to be upgrading my ender cell. So I'm going to go ahead and break this particular ender cell. Let's go ahead and clear it. And then I will be placing the new one down. This one supports 400,000 transfer, which is definitely what we're going to need considering we're already producing almost 100,000 from this line alone. And we've also surpassed our cables here. Yeah, we're going to need to definitely swap out these cables. And I'm just going to go ahead and use the cables that can support this amount of power. And that is going to be the cables of this tier, which do 200,000 FE per tick. By the way, cool thing about these cables, you can just walk through them. It's kind of nice. So we're essentially going to be maxing this out. Oh, this is like, we're going to be maxing the Spirited out by just doing this setup. So that is going to be fantastic. And by the way, here it is. I've already got all of these crafted up. It goes significantly faster when you actually have enough power going into your rods. It does mean I am going to have to find another place for our lava tank, but I have a solution for that later on. So yeah, merely in a span of just a few hours, I was able to take our power generation from just a measly few thousand to essentially nearly 200,000. I think this particular setup here is producing like exactly 189,000 FE per tick. But still, that's a tremendous amount, which is going to mean we can now upgrade our applied energetic system. We can actually start getting into mechanism and many other mods that utilize a ton of power and start really getting into the automation side of things, which will give us some more time freed up for potentially diving into more magic mods. Because don't forget, the ultimate goal of this pack is to craft the All the Mods star. And that means this was 100% necessary for our journey towards that. And our power is only going to expand from here. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully you learned something new. And if you did, click that subscribe button if you haven't already and give this video a huge thumbs up. And also comment down below if there was something new that you might have learned, or there's something that you think I don't know. Definitely comment it down below so it not only lets me kind of learn something new, but there may be somebody down there reading the comments just like you commenting, and they may discover something new as well. Definitely enjoy this community and definitely use it to your advantage, just like that. So, guys, it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that beautiful thanks is going to go out to Equality. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting in one of the best ways possible. Thanks to all of my supporters, whether you're on Patreon, Twitch, here as a YouTube member, or through the Discord. You guys are the absolute bosses of this community, and I thank you so very much. Guys, as well, I will hope to see you in the next one, and as always, thanks for watching.